solving quadratic equation. That's the last thing we need to cover. And then it's all just I'm gonna show you how everything is connected. When you're asked to solve, fill that in, a quadratic, you need to determine or find the x-intercepts. That's really what it's asking you to do. And this is a big note to fill in here. Notice that x-intercepts would be the same thing as roots, would be the same thing as zeros. Okay. So make sure you fill that in x-intercepts. If I ask you to find the roots, you should be like, oh yeah, Mr. Dirkson's asked me to find the x-intercepts. If I ask you to find the zeros, I'm trying to find the x-intercepts. And so you should automatically think that y is equal to 0, right? If you're trying to find the roots, you should know that, hey, y is going to be equal to 0. Okay. There are two methods of solving quadratics. We're going to focus on the quadratic formula. But quadratic formula and graphic, oh, there's a typo there. Method. Anyway, sorry about that. Quadratic formula and graphing method, and today we're going to focus on the quadratic formula. So if you're given one of these, and what form is that? General. Yeah, so I'm going to write that down. It has to be in general. We can find the roots by using the following formula. Are you ready for this? This is going to be very important to get this right. Okay, so maybe let me write it out first. Just watch. X, which is going to be the x-intercepts, can be found by using the following formula. Watch what I'm going to do first. I'm going to write out the top, negative b squared plus or minus, yikes, right? What is that? I'm going to explain that later. Square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c. And let me do this just to make sure. Let's put brackets around every single letter that appears, okay? Because you're going to be inserting numbers into those brackets. You got this part? I do this first. I used to do it differently, but make sure this is right. Okay? So you've got b, negative b, I should say. Sorry, guys. I made a mistake. This squared here doesn't go there. It's just b. Phew. Good thing I noticed that. So this I promise you is right. And now, this whole thing is going to be divided by 2 times a. Not just b, not just this, but the whole thing. Okay, that is the important thing that I'm emphasizing. That's why the red line goes from end to end. Okay, so we will first figure out the top, and then we will worry about the dividing part. Okay. And notice A, B, and C, right? There's A, B, and C in the mix. Comes straight from your general form, right? A, B, and C, right? That's where we get those numbers from. So watch this. The b squared minus 4 times ac, whatever's inside here, is called the discriminant. So if b squared minus 4ac, like if you type in numbers there, if it's positive, right, positive, then you'll have two roots or solutions. If b squared minus 4ac is equal to 0, you will only have one root or one solution. If that b squared minus 4ac is negative, right, then we will conclude that we have no roots. And you probably, right, no solution. And you probably know that, right, you can't take the root of a negative, right? So not in our discourse, right? In university and grade 12 pre-cal, you do, but we won't, right? So this is probably worth boxing in, but don't put it away, right? Just keep it there. Make sure you remember that. So the discriminant can be positive, 0, or negative. What is the discriminant? Let's go back up. It's just this part right here. How about we do that? I will just highlight the inside like this and just make sure it shows up here and shows up there. Right? So that highlighted part, just that part is the discriminant. And if that is negative, you stop, right? You don't continue, but you have to tell me why you stopped. And I will show you some examples as we go along. We're doing fine with time, so you got it? Okay, next page. Solve the following using the quadratic formula. And just maybe to just emphasize that, we go negative b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac. So this one doesn't have the brackets, but I just want to write it out one more time so that it's there. Okay, so that is the quadratic formula. You have to use it if I ask you to do it. There will be other ways of solving, because let's face it, we know how to find the y-intercepts, the x-intercepts using the calculator. I know you do. That's not the point here. It's using the quadratic formula, right? That's the important part. Okay, is this already in general form? Yes. So y is equal to 0, right? So this ends up being like this. Whenever there's a y, you turn that into 0. And what's a equal to? 3. B is equal to 3. C is equal to negative 3. Careful, because C could be missing. B could be missing. It could be 0. Okay, so just watch out for that. And now we plug it into this formula right here. So I'll say x is equal to, it calls for negative b. So negative b plus or minus, it says b squared minus 4 times a times c. All of that divided by 2 times a. A is 3, right? Lots of 3's there, so watch out Don't mix them up. And then we clean it up. This is what I do with cleaning up. Negative 1 times 3 is just negative 3, plus or minus square root. And watch what I do here. Grab your calculator. I want to make you get this right every time. So you basically just do what is there. You need to watch out for the brackets. I would strongly recommend you use brackets because sometimes they will be negative, right? So I just type in exactly with brackets and all, but this is a takeaway and this is a negative using the negative button, right? So you gotta watch out when it's inside a bracket, you need to use the negative. And if you hit equals, you should get 45. Wait a minute. Is that right? Yeah, that is right. Okay, I was looking at the wrong line. So this is 45 over 2 times 3 is 6. Okay? And here's where it gets interesting. We can have 0, 1, or 2 roots with a quadratic, correct? How many roots are we going to have with this one? Look at the discriminant. It could be positive, 0, or negative, right? In this case, it's positive. So we're expecting 2 roots. That's where the plus and the minus comes in. Watch this. The first x-intercept is going to be found by going negative 3, right? So I'm copying that. And then just take the positive here, root of 45, and you're going to divide that by 6. The second root, I'm going to find, so I go x sub 2. I'm going to go negative 3, right, as I'm reading here, minus root of 45 over 6. You see that, right? I use the plus to get one root, and I use the negative to get me my second root. And let's figure out what that is. Grab your calculators, because it is about typing this in right. I'm going to go negative 3 plus square root of 45. Hit equals. Do not go divide right now. I'm going to hit equals, and then I'm going to go divide it by 6, which is 0.62. So my one root or x-intercept is that. And then the next one is negative 3 minus square root of 45. I hit equals first, then I go divided by 6, and that is negative 1.62. So the root, the x-intercept is really this. Voila, you're done. Just really quick. Maybe you just watch me do this. I'm going to leave the... So let's say you're like, I don't know if I did this right. I'm going to see if this is correct. So you type in the equation, that one, into y1, and you make y2 equal to 0. You graph them. Of course, it's not going to work. Oh, it did work. I'm going to go zoom 6. There we go. It's easier to see. So I'm going to go second trace 5. Enter, enter, enter. One of them is, as you can tell, 0.62, which we found. The other one is negative 1.62, as we did find, right? So it should all connect. Everything in this unit connects, right? It's all connected. Okay. Now, this is the easiest case scenario. This is the one you're hoping for, right? Everything is already on one side. What if it's not? Not in general form yet. Not in standard form or general. We we refer to them as the same. Rewrite. Rewrite. Okay. That doesn't say rewrite, does it? There we go. Rewrite. So what I mean by that is bring everything over to one side. And this is the beauty you choose. Maybe you don't like that. Maybe you're like, no, I want it to be the same. I always bring mine to the left. So if you want to have the same answer as me, that's what I do. So I take my x squares, I'm going to circle them. Right, I see x squared, so I'm going to go 8x squared. And the 3x comes over subtracting when it crosses the equal sign. I'm going to underline the x's, right? So you have plus 5x on the left, and the negative 4x, which is on the right side of the equal sign, comes over adding. There are no constants on the right side, so it's just the 7 that will be added. And then you go, once you're done bringing everything over, the right side is equal to 0, which is exactly what we want. And now combine them. So this is, I'm not going to use too much room because then I'll have issues later on. This is 9x plus 7 equals 0. Try to find the roots right now on your own. So try to do what I just did there. Do it right now in class. Because I gave you A, right? Maybe I'll be, right? A is this, B is 9, C is 7. And see what you get there. Try it right now. Pause it there. I will solve it quietly, so if you just want to look up as you're doing this. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. You should stop there. I don't know if you got to that part already, but you should get a negative discriminant. Discriminant is negative, therefore no x-intercepts, therefore no roots, therefore no solutions. This one, this parabola does not cross the x-axis. So it does happen, not very often, but it does happen. Like when I give you a question like this, if it's worth 1 mark, hint, hint, right? If it's worth 3 marks, probably one where you have 2 roots, right? So just look at the marks to help you out. Not too bad, but just make sure you catch it. Some students just get rid of the negative. They don't want the negative, they just turn it into a positive and just keep going. No, it's there for a reason. If it's negative, it's negative, right? Can I also say this? That this minus here comes from the original quadratic formula, right? It may be that one of these values is negative as well, right? But this one comes from the quadratic formula, so it cannot be changed, okay? Let's do one more. Blast from the past, right? 3x times x, 3x times 2. So that gives you 3x squared plus 6x is equal to negative 3. Bring everything over to one side. I choose the left side. So it's 3x squared plus 6x plus 3 is equal to 0. In the worksheet that I'm going to assign, there are some negatives. I am not happy that I thought I had put a negative in there. I wonder if it would still work if I made that negative. Give me 1 second.